Hey everybody, this is Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to share this new galactic channeling. I think it's very fascinating that this race specifically has such a unique look to them, but I also think that it's really amazing that these beings taught early humans, and one of the things that they taught them about was time, hence the name Timekeepers. I'm glad you guys have been enjoying this and enjoying the artwork, and the artwork is done by John Craik. He's a guy who's helped us out with art before and who's also helped with the courses that we have that are online. He's also the guy who's been doing the editing for these videos. I haven't had any time to do the editings, plus my editings don't look so good, and the guy who helped us revamp the website. And he's done an amazing job, and as soon as he opens up his art shop, I'll post the link in the description. I also wanted to let you guys know I appreciate your support. I appreciate all the stuff that I ask for. I always say if you can leave a like, a comment, make sure your notification bell is rung. All of those things really help out our channel, and if any of you are interested in going to our weekly show on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, you can go to the live tab, check that out. But I wanted to just tell you guys how much I love you and share my appreciation for all the love that you guys have been giving us. The YouTube algorithm gods being on our side now has really helped extend the channel very quick, and our constant uploads is supporting that even more. So I hope you guys keep enjoying the weekly galactic channelings, and if there's races you want to hear from, please drop it in the comments. Let us know what types of beings that you're interested in hearing from. I know a lot of the type 2 more malevolent beings got a very warm reception, which was not in alignment with what I was used to the last few times that I've dropped that. We had more comments before that said, hey, we really don't care about these beings or what they think of us, and it's nice to see the warm welcome for those beings too. So we love you guys. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the channeling. We'll see you guys on the other side. If you want to hear about our Patreon, just hang out after the channeling is done and check out the information there. Love ya.
Greetings to all, this is Aridif, that is A-R-I-D-I-F, and this is its spirit. We understand all of you desire to go more deeply into the co-creations with that of the galactic brethren and sistren of the co-created collective consciousness. But before diving into this construct, we must share the two things that we have always expressed first, above and beyond all things that are expressed in this day. To know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved in our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, this is our greatest excitement to be here with all of you in the moment, both in co-creative form singularly, and in the greater group collective as well. Now, dive more deeply into co-creating with a race of beings that played somewhat of an important part of co-creating with early humans, only within one very specific tribe within the southern region of the continent that you know as North America, within the area that is now considered Central America, the place that links the areas between the North American continent and the South American continent. The entities which co-created in this form came down quite physically and co-created with the native beings that existed there. And of course, this is approximately at the year 12,800 BC from your time perspective. And the beings were beings that were known by the local beings that were native and indigenous to that region as the Timekeepers. Now, of course, timekeeping is not a perspective of these entities, but in many ways the understanding of the nature of these beings would come to their own understanding of co-creating with a greater collective force of time outside of its linear perspective, and of course in both secular and fluid perspectives. Little did the indigenous beings of that region understand and know that all beings that manifest from a higher dimension and enter the physical body of a third density avatar in order to co-create with him are not within that linear time perspective. But of course, the entities that existed there co-created with the entities from your constellation of Horologia. Now, of course, most of you understand and know this constellation more deeply as Horologia, and of course the co-creation of these beings being extraordinarily humanoid in form, very similar to the human complex, only slightly taller than that of the average human now, which is much taller than that of the average human at that time. And the coloration of these beings were quite different, as these beings were nearly entirely black. Now, when we understand the human perspective of black, what you perceive are the people who are indigenous to your own areas that is known as African continent. And of course, these entities are extremely dark, all of the way from a very light brown coloration to an extraordinarily dark brown coloration. These entities held true black skin, with eyes that were ember or amber in the coloration, co-creating between the red and orange hue, and the coloration of their hair was just as black as the skin. These entities co-created with forms of humans and taught a great deal about living inside of that now moment, and of course many other things. So before directly connecting with this entity, we will express that when you co-create with these entities, try to perceive your time as well. One moment we will connect.
We welcome you to be with us, humans. It is a very important time. Now is the only time. The time that we have with you is the time that's only limited by the perspective of how frequent the time you hold is. Now we will talk about time, because this is how humans came to know us. And in the deep depths of your collective consciousness, why humans come to perceive the area of the sky that we're from as the great clock, the great timekeep, the great constellation of time in the sky. Now, most of you may know of Horologium, the constellation from the human perspective, but this is more than the constellation it seems. This is more than faint bright lights in front of you. This is more than the constellation that people in your southern hemisphere are more able to see. This constellation holds many races and broad spectrums, and over 720 light years between the Alpha and Delta Horologi are our own race. We came from that part of space and came to speak to humans early. We developed at our 5th density level to come speak to humans and talk to them. We had found out about humans through many of the interactions that we had with other 5th density beings. There were many beings from Sirius that we were able to meet. There were many beings from Arcturus that we were able to meet. There were many beings from many of the solar systems that we were able to meet, and they told us about this great human race. A race that was unfortunately given DNA that was reptilian, and although we thought that this was a bit funny, that the perspective of having that specific DNA did not disclude these humans from growing into whatever types of beings they wanted, these beings believed that other DNA would have to have come. So we gave ours as an offering and said, yes, please take our DNA if it's helpful to helping facilitate the communication with humans and to help do whatever with the humans that you wanted. And they said, we don't need it. We already have given our own. But we do offer many programs where you can go and speak to the humans directly yourself in that time. We took full advantage of that. We created this very small energy of a body, and we put our own consciousness into the body, and the body mimicked our own physical body and physical structures, and we talked with the humans about that. Now, the humans in this area were a darker type of human on your own planet compared to many of the other humans, but what the larger problem was that these beings
who wanted to speak to us and wanted to communicate with us as we shared more information as why we were so dark. So we told them the star that we come from is extraordinarily small compared to your star, and although we're much closer to that star than they were, we still did not receive much light. The atmosphere that we had was created with nitrogen and oxygen and helium and boron and many of these other types of gases that were similar to yours, but in different conditions and different percentages. And the way that the light dispersed inside of our atmosphere gave us that dark coloration. The eyes only developed once we entered fifth density, because the energy that we live from came from our own energetic port of the heart. Now, humans have 7 standard chakras. Many races hold 7 standard chakras, but our own race held 27 chakras. And the one that was centered in the heart was the color of orange, because the spectrum and the coloration, variation, differences in our own opinions, perspectives, and quite in fact, our own ability just to perceive them. The center color of our spectrum of colors visible to our eyes at that time was orange. Fascinating that we could not see outside of that, even though we had developed very intricate fifth density physical systems of perceiving. But as we entered sixth density, this changed, but it still created the orange eyes when we created the avatar, because of that part of our consciousness had not developed yet. So it was a very important part. It was a very extensive part of our energy. And once we started sharing with these humans, we met them, and it was an intensive affair. We landed our craft, and they praised us as gods. We told them we are not gods. We do not want to be gods. We only want to be fellows with you and speak with you and be equal to you. And they insisted to call us gods. We continued to tell them that we were not, but they had their minds made up. There was nothing that we could do to change them. We told them that we did not come to instruct them. We did not come to change their lives or develop things. We only wanted to share information with them. That information knowledge is key, and the information about how they were spending their time could be more useful to them. Now, I want you to imagine the earlier part of humanness did not develop the human-made time. They did not have clocks in 12 hours and months. They understood the cycles in a most natural way. The races who had been there before and spoke to them also had the same exact form of understanding that the entire universe does, that all things appear on natural time settings, that each solar system has a cycle of a planet around a star and a cycle of a moon around the planet, if it holds a moon or natural satellite, but it was still seasonal. If the entrance around the star and the orbit of that star was not developed and the tilting was correct, and if you were tidally locked, there was no seasons, but there were still ways to find the times of year, location in the sky of the stars, and location of your own planet around that star. So it was a very important detail for them to understand and know. So we told them that living in that life, living in the now moment, would be very important for them. And we told them that if they wanted to live their life in that now, that they would hold much. But after we observed them for less than 1 month of time, we saw that they already did this. Yes, they planned ahead for the crops. Yes, they saw what happened behind their own consciousness of linear time called the past, and they learned from the past, but they did not attach themselves to that. They were very present. So then we taught them about how to become secular with the time, and showed them the natural cycles on Earth, showed them the natural cycles of life, showed them the natural larger cycles of the galactic consciousness. And they sprouted deeply with a great deal of affection and a great deal of appreciation. And then we started speaking to them about fluid time, and fluid time was so much more that they could handle, so they were not able to do so. They did not understand the nature of fluid time, and we understand now that many humans still to this day, after learning a great deal of things, are not aware of that type of time. The type of time that fluid time is unanchored time. Humans hold anchor time to very specific dates because it is a coordinate within time and space, and because they understand that that coordinate in time and space represents a place where they must be, but still hold very deep emotional and mental connections to whether that is within your future, whether it's within your past, or whether it is within 10 minutes from now or 28 minutes from now. But we still try to show them that being in linear time means that your consciousness can adjust to a physical location. And this is how humans have teleported in the past. They learned to be part of time. They learned to make their consciousness tie so deeply in with that time that they were able to move their body physically and geolocationally just from the thought. What a wonderful thing that this could be, to understand the deepest nature of that energy being a part of your soul and part of your consciousness, and knowing by finding a way to fix your gaze upon the inner eye of your third eye and then locate it in any direction of time that you want. It would just be equally as possible as looking at a location down to your field and picking a tree and walking to it. You are moving in time, you are moving in space all the time. We tried to share this, it failed, but there was a deeper understanding and appreciation of time due to our communication. We also told them about our own race and our history with time, understanding that we did once experience, long ago, being simple animals, simple plant life, simple changes of that energy. And we also told them about our growth in our environment. We lived on a planet that had a very extremely difficult time of adapting. Each time that our race began to be developed to the third density style, we would have either gamma ray burst coming from a local unstable star, or we would have meteors that would crash into our Earth and restart us almost instantly. But after the star finally settled back down, and after the meteors were finished clearing the area, we finally were able to grow. And we grew well because of that, because of the diversity that we faced. We grew well because all the hardships that we had created an open space for our consciousness to grow and expand and understand and know that these things that come are not truly a part of the experience that we have in that moment. And this one gives us the dissolution of time, a separation from the time as humans see it now. We understood that behind us energetically there was a place where hardships were, but now we had clearness. So we stayed in our now moment and levitated through that into third density. And once we started seeing that, the linear time perspective became more deep, but also the appreciation of secular time was imagined, understood, and known. Of course, it was much harder to map out our own solar system due to the irregularities within it, and due to the fact that the paths of stars that were located around us would come around our own central location system, and that was the unstable star that continued to cause problems from the past perspective. So after we had found out what our solar system looked like, we had an understanding of cycles. After we found that, the universe was much easier, because all of the things that we could see from our skies being very less lit than yours, finding stars were easy, seeing the patterns of how they traveled were easy. And of course, knowing that now the unstableness inside of the orbit was all a part of why things would change. We lived long enough to see the long cycles. All that I can share with humans now is the importance of staying inside of your own understanding of time. Being in your present moment is important. Being inside of your consciousness is very important. And knowing that the link between time and space is only that geolocationally or astrolocationally is very important too. It is important so that you know that you can travel through astral state anywhere across the universe in an instant thought, and your physical body can follow once you've learned to find that energy inside of you and train your body and consciousness to work better together. Humans are a long way from this now, in some ways further away than what they were the first time that we had traveled in, but your understanding of technology and science now holds an even greater platform for you to open up this energy. These beings lived extremely well inside of their now moments, inside of understanding the secular time, but when it came to fluid time, it was much harder. Now you struggle to understand linear time, although you understand it as a perspective, although you have it mapped out upon your calendars, you struggle to live in that. But secular time is also something that has been achieved from your scientific breakthroughs and understandings. Good luck, humans. We will see you in another time.
I wanted to thank everyone in our Patreon who helped support me have the free time to do the extra channeling here. If you're interested, go to ET Whisper Patreon, which is patreon.com/ETWhisper. $22 a month, you get access to 2 different channelings per month. One where everyone sends in ideas, we put it in a poll and vote for it. The second is a Q&A. Everyone sends in their questions and their desire of Aridif or Treb answering it, and then we ask the questions, and then we go through them randomly, and whoever's questions get picked goes there. So if you want to be a part of that to get access to that extra stuff, and you want to help support us get more content out on YouTube, the link is in the description. Love you guys. Thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you on the other side.